Heat game on too, boys.
All right, we're live. Brandon is gonna have the Heatles in the background. Watch them lose.
Are you watching it? They're in it.
Watching them lose.
They are in it. Imagine that.
Very much in this.
They are in it, but they are struggling because Giannis is back.
Well, Jimmy had like 22 in the first quarter of our 26 points or something, so that was helpful.
Yeah, but when you have Giannis actually playing, that makes it a little tougher to win.
Yeah, you guys cheated and tried to break him game one.
Tyler Hero got broken game one. No one's talking about that.
It's his own fault.
It was Giannis' own fault too. He just fell down.
You guys literally made it so that people wanted to ban the charge.
Shit. All right, yeah, I'm locked now.
All right, we're just gonna wait for more people to get in. So we're chatting about random sports here and how the Heat suck. Look at that.
It suck.
I agree. Brody knows what's going on. The Heat do suck.
The Heatles are dope.
Make sure to like the stream, everyone. We're probably gonna talk about all the commitments we've gotten in the last few days. Jaden Hardy, Brennan Thompson, like an hour ago. Who else? I'm sure I'm missing someone. Didn't we get 3 over the weekend?
Well, it was
Jaden Hardy,
Thompson, Jaden Hardy, and
oh yeah.
Let me see. I'm trying to remember. I mean, we just got Michael Hawkins, just got KJ Daniels, Isaiah Autry.
Isaiah Autry. I knew we were forgetting someone.
Jose,
We kind of expected that one.
Did you get to watch the spring game in its entirety?
I saw 3.5 quarters of it.
Okay, so I saw.
I saw Jackson's last drive in fragments. So if you guys saw it like continuously, I guess we can start there. Just what were your thoughts on the spring game?
Yeah, so I didn't get to see all of it. I'm sure Brum didn't either. We had a wedding Saturday, but I started it, and I actually watched a little bit back today. The defense looked pretty solid. I don't know if that's us playing bad offense. The thing that stood out the most is how much of a difference the first team O-line is versus the second team O-line. It seemed like every snap Jackson had, he was like immediately getting blown up. He got sacked 4 or 5 times, I think. That second team O-line was struggling. Hassan McCullough flashed, Peyton Bowen flashed. Dylan Gabriel looked okay. There was 2 balls that come to mind for Dylan Gabriel, and they're both bad ones. There was a drive that should have been a touchdown. You know what I'm talking about, Hose, where LP Bunkley Shelton was wide open in the end zone. He was a little bit under pressure there, but he just airmailed that. And then in the second quarter, he had LP Bunkley Shelton open too for what would have been at least a 20-yard pass, and he hit the pocket there was clean, and just sailed it over him again. But I don't know. What do you guys think?
I even think that, I mean, Dylan Gabriel to some degree was running for his life behind the offensive line, because even the first team O-line in this spring game is not, it's very much patchwork at best. And I think we're seeing, that if you don't have a couple of your starters, it makes a big difference. And, the thing is with the spring game, which it's always a big struggle, is when the offense looks good, it's at the defense's expense, and when the defense looks good, it's at the offense's expense. So people are, wondering what's wrong with the offense. Are we not going to be able to score points? And I think people are having some PTSD after last year's debacle on the offense, and even some degree on the defense. But I think putting too much stock into it can get you in trouble a little bit.
I agree. So pretty much what we talked about on last Monday's video happened, where Jackson looked good in that last drive, and I know that was one of his few drives with the number one unit on the offensive line. But he had another drive. He kind of scrambled a lot and he looked like a freshman. and that's not a bad thing. He's still learning. He's only been there for 4 months, so can't expect him to look like a seasoned vet. But it did prove, like, as bad as some of the balls were that Dylan threw, he still had a lot more composure when it came to getting rushed, and that's going to happen probably a lot, especially if the offensive line isn't healthy to start the season. You're going to want someone that is experienced enough that he understands when to get out of the pocket and make a play with his feet. And given the fact that Jackson is behind him now, Dylan might be more comfortable, and Levy might be more comfortable letting Dylan, take off and maybe take a couple hits that maybe last season we weren't going to see happen that often. If there were any freshmen that, like, could make an argument after the spring game and just the spring game alone as the only sample size, Peyton Bowen, I don't see how he's not going to be on the field, and PJ, when PJ and R. Mason Thomas were on the field together, it seemed like the tackles just had no idea what was coming at them, and it was fun to watch every single time. No matter who the quarterback was, those boys were getting back there quick.
I think Pearson, not freshman, but Pearson looked good too. I think out of the transfer portal, Deshaun McCullough, I think, was, from what I saw, and again, it's probably only a half rewatching today. Deshaun McCullough, I feel like he was getting his name called every other play. Toby Rowland, he was all over the place. He made that nice pass breakup on 4th down on the Gavin Freeman ball from Arnold. He made a couple of tackles for loss. I think Deshaun McCullough showed that he might have solidified that Cheetah position, boys. I know it's a spring game, but I mean, he flashed.
He really did, and I mean, I don't think we're overhyping him. I mean, he came in and was a all Big Ten freshman player of the year or whatever he was. I mean, he's an extremely talented player. He's going to play, and he's going to play a lot. Jose, I agree with you. I think, I'm not sure if Peyton Bowen starts, but I do think he's involved in the rotation. I don't think he redshirts. I think he burns his red shirt this year and plays because I think Oklahoma needs him. And, at the end of the day, we never know about injuries and things like that, and so an opportunity might present itself. But you could just tell, I mean, he's only been on campus now for like 3 months. He is probably the most gifted defensive back that Oklahoma has on their roster at this point. Not saying that he's truly the best at this point, but you can tell that he's comfortable. You can tell that he is extremely has a high ceiling, and I do think he'll play a decent amount this fall. And but I mean, Jackson Arnold looked good. I think there's going to be some growing pains. We obviously thought, last year other players looked really good. Like Jaden Gibson looked really good last year in the spring game, and obviously he didn't look the best this past spring game. And I think people are a little bit overreacting to Jaden Gibson, a little bit of struggles. I think Gibson's only been on campus. This is his second year, second season coming up. Give him some time. I mean, not all freshmen or sophomores are going to be able to flourish. And I think Emmett Jones will get the best out of him. And he's just learning the system. People are panicking about Jaden Gibson, and I think he's going to be all right.
I only saw the one drop from Jaden Gibson. That's really the only thing I saw. There was it was a 3rd or 4th down play where the ball wasn't great. But in a real game scenario, Jaden Gibson has got to catch that. I mean, it hit him in the chest, I'm pretty sure. Although, again, a little bit behind him. But you got to come down with that one. It matters.
Yeah. And are you talking about the one at the beginning of the game or end of the game? Where
shit. See, I only saw like the first half, so the beginning of the game.
Okay. So that's one that someone brought up in the chat earlier. They said that DG missed them, which I don't know if I completely agree with that because, yes, it was way behind. I agree, but it was right in his chest. And we saw DJ Graham make a very similar play when Davis Bevel was in the game, a guy we've talked about probably a little bit too much over the last couple of weeks. But Davis Bevel underthrew a ball, and DJ stopped, caught the ball, and even made someone miss a tackle. I think DJ Graham might have given himself, at least with the fan base, a lot of favor because now if a guy like Jaden Gibson, let's say, does get some snaps early on in the season and he starts messing up, fans are going to want to see DJ Graham out there. They might not even think about like a Jaquez Petaway, who is dynamic. Who knows? Maybe Brendan Thompson is an immediate impact player. He just transferred today. Like, you're going to see that some people just... I mean, fans are going to be... Fans already are pretty short-tempered when it comes to people, guys messing up. But it might be a much shorter fuse there for a guy like Jaden Gibson, who a lot of people expected big things from, but he really is only a sophomore, so it's not like his career is over, but people might not be as willing to be patient, especially after a 6 and 7 season last year.
Yeah. I gotta pause. Eric, coming through with the $50. We have to shout you out. We really
Shout out,
really
Eric.
Appreciate that. Yeah.
Let's raise our glass for that. I'm gonna go grab a cold one, boys. We'll be right back.
Yeah. So thank you for dropping the $50. You just said love our channel. If you have any questions, we'd really appreciate that for sure.
Let's see. Let's kind of go through some questions. And Eric, if you have a question, man, we appreciate the support. We'll try to get to it as soon as we see it come through. Here, Jag Sooner has an interesting one that we might have different takes on, but let's see. Does Arnold redshirt? He doesn't think so? What do you guys think?
Yes. Unless injury to Dylan Gabriel, because Jose, you're right. I mean, at the end of the day, Dylan Gabriel was spotty at times and looked, not the best performance for him, but at the same time, it is a spring game. But I mean, he looked way more calm, cool, collected than did Jackson Arnold. And I mean, Arnold's very young. I think, we all think Jackson Arnold's going to be that guy. I just don't think it's this year. That's all it is. I think a year of redshirting is going to be good for him. Again, if Jackson Arnold, or not Jackson Arnold, if Dylan Gabriel goes down for whatever reason, obviously that redshirt gets pulled. But I think barring injury, he redshirts all season.
I think he redshirts as well. I don't want to overreact. Yeah, Dylan Gabriel didn't have the best game, but I think at the end of the day, I think he plays well this year. I think he improves. I think he does burn his, he does redshirt, and I think Gabriel puts together a really solid season. I think a better season than a lot of fans are expecting at this point. And I really think he can play at a high level. And I think people are quick to, we've seen the Spencer Rattler, Caleb Williams situation. I just hope that it doesn't turn into that, because the whole booing and things like that. I'm not saying that Caleb Williams isn't better than Spencer Rattler, because he is. And maybe Jackson Arnold is better than Dylan Gabriel, but is he better than him right now? And I'm not sure if that's the case.
All right, so I don't think he will redshirt. And the reason for that is because of how redshirts are being used with this coaching staff. It doesn't just mean you're not playing 3 games, you're going to get a redshirt. One, you've got 2 quarterbacks that are sitting behind Jackson that the longer that they sit might become more impatient and would want to transfer. I don't think the staff wants that, especially after they probably went a little longer with Michael Hawkins than they expected to, given that Hawkins was supposed to commit in January, then it got pushed back all the way to the beginning of this month. And then you got Kevin Sperry right behind him, who I think he's a 4-star on Rivals, 3-star on some other things, and might not even be ranked on all the platforms yet. So who knows? Maybe he ends up becoming really, really talented. How long do those guys end up sitting? I think the reason I don't believe Jackson is redshirted is simply because of there's no need for him to need that extra year of eligibility. Even if he does play from sophomore to as a senior, that's 3 years. Really, after 3 years, your draft stock is pretty solidified unless you just absolutely explode in 1 year as a quarterback. I mean, I could be wrong. It just doesn't seem beneficial for Arnold or the team to redshirt him just to give him an extra year of eligibility in the long run with the quarterbacks that are going to be behind him once he does get the QB1 spot, which will more than likely be next season. And I think he showed flashes. I mean, the big run that got called back, I think that's something that Dylan can do, but maybe was a little bit more hesitant to do last year. and Jackson just put his head down and went. And in a real game scenario, I don't think he would have been brought down, but obviously it's a spring game, so as long as someone was breathing his direction, probably going to be called down.
And right,
I agree. I'm surprised we actually had different answers there. I thought we were all going to be on the same side, but
you only said that he's going to not redshirt just so you can disagree with us.
No, I didn't. I swear, I thought you guys were going to say no.
Do you think he just comes in and mop up duty? Is that what your expectation is to burn his red
maybe.
shirt?
I don't know. I just don't think they're using red shirt as like you're just simply not playing whatever more than 4 games. Is that the max that they can play in red shirt? 4. It just, I don't know. It's essentially like this staff seems to use red shirts when they need to get that guy to just solely focus on building himself physically and working on the playbook. Like, unless Jackson gets super behind in learning the offense, I just don't see it happening. I mean, I guess he could, but from everything that's been reported by people that are covering and going to practice, he's picking things up pretty quickly. I think they're just expecting him to be QB2 and come in mop up duty for hopefully games that we are winning by a lot. And if there are games where we're getting our ass kicked, then he'll play those games too. But hopefully I just don't see him getting the red shirt.
Brett Venables also said that the team is better at every single position this year than they were last year, and I think I believe him. I don't know. I think the defense, and again, it's a spring game, so it's hard, but it's hard not to get excited by the defense from the first half that I saw. They're making some plays. They're all over the place. That's all I'm gonna call him, man. I'm man crushing hard right now. That dude is gonna be a problem.
Every time he made a play, I was just thinking, who was the last Sooner that was a first round pick from the defensive side of the ball?
Kenneth Murray, right?
Yeah, K9.
It's been some time. He might be the next guy. The guy that really starts the trend again.
At some point too. Peyton Bowen, I mean, for a kid who's 18 or whatever old he is, dealing with what he's going through in his personal life, I think, to play the game he kind of played, that shit was pretty special.
I agree. I don't think there's many DBs on the team that showed they can make that kind of play. Thinking back to last season, just being able to stay with his guy, not getting handsy, because that's something that could have easily happened. He could have just grabbed him and gotten called for a flag, even if it wasn't a huge grab. He was able to stick with him and got his head turned around. Perfect time to get the ball.
Andrew Anthony should have tackled him on that play, though. Agreed. I think in a real game situation, that's a ball he has no chance on. And at some point, as a receiver, your best play is to turn into a defensive back and just cheat. Just grab both of his arms, do something. Because that ball, he was not going to catch that.
Yeah. No, I mean, and another player that I can't wait to see on the field is Jacoby Johnson, because I know that Peyton Bowen is extremely talented. And he's one of the best safeties in the class. But I also think Jacoby Johnson, even McCarty Vickers, he looked pretty good too. But I think Jacoby Johnson is going to be a special talent. And Brandon, you watched him live multiple times. I know that. I think he's another very, very high ceiling defensive back that Oklahoma is going to land.
Yeah, and I like Josiah Wagner too. I know Silent Marsh mentioned a freshman corner. I'm not sure. Oh, there we go. Wagner. I think he did well, and I loved that. I don't know if you guys got to hear it on the broadcast. I guess he was asked what animal resembles him, and he said a 600-pound Siberian tiger. I don't know why he specifically said 600 pounds, but it's really just hilarious.
I like 400 pound.
Not 400, not 500, 600.
Not even a 599 or a 601.
Straight up 600. Let's see if you guys have any more. Oh, how big of a pickup was Thompson?
I think it's huge, just because again, this is the receiver room. I genuinely think the receiver room is. I'm not going to say it's bad because I don't think it's bad, but I think it's the weakest position on the team, and I think I was looking forward to seeing guys like J.J. Hester hopefully make some plays at the spring game. I don't think he really did. L.V. Bunkley Shelton, I think, was sold a couple times. There's that one play in the end zone where he definitely should have scored a touchdown. And then, later in the second quarter, he was missed on a 25-yard gainer at least. But there's a lot of opportunity at that receiver room, I think. And I think Brennan Thompson with his speed can be an immediate impact player. That's why I keep saying Jaquez Petaway is the guy that I think can make a push as a true freshman, even getting to campus late. I don't think that anybody really separated themselves based off a spring game alone. I still think it's Farouk 1 and Drake 2 in some sort of way. Gavin Freeman played pretty well. But I think that there's a lot of spots up for grab in the spring game. They're at the receiver room.
And Thompson immediately becomes one of the fastest, if not the fastest players.
That's rude. So mean.
Yeah, Thompson's going to be a burner. We talked about it last time. Can't remember if it was Wednesday or Friday, but he brings something different to this team. It's something that Jaquez Petaway would bring if he would have enrolled early, and maybe that would have changed Oklahoma pursuing Thompson as hard as they did and ending up securing his commitment. He's a speedster. He's going to be the guy that's going to take the top off the defense, and maybe that's when we stop seeing Dillon Gabriel just overthrow receivers, because this guy's kind of hard to overthrow. You're more than likely going to underthrow Thompson. But yeah, he's huge. It's the different dynamic he brings, because you don't really have a speedster right now. Gavin Freeman's the closest thing you have to him. But is it Thompson speed? It might match up, but I don't know. I saw that he ran a 10.18 as his PR in the 100-meter dash. That's quite fast. I don't know if there's very many football players that can reach that kind of speed.
Yeah, and isn't it kind of funny that it's coming full circle? At one point Thompson, it seemed like wanted to be a Sooner, but the Sooners were full with 3 guys that actually never ended up being Sooners, and now he finally comes around full circle and actually ends up where he should have been all along.
I'm trying to get Brendan Thompson on the show. I reached out to him, boys. We'll see.
We'll see. Will we go after Jordan Hudson?
No.
I think this is interesting. Do you guys don't think so?
I don't think so.
I agree, and it's simply because Thompson kind of beat him to it. I saw that Jordan, I think Hayes Fawcett put out a graphic for him that said Oklahoma had reached out. I don't know if the interest would still be there now that they got a transfer. And, we expect to have at least 3 receivers in this 24 class in Zion Kearney, who has exploded with crystal balls in favor of Oklahoma. Bryant Wesco, who also has a lot of crystal balls, and you have KJ Daniels there already. I don't know how much more room you have at the wide receiver position before you start seeing 2 or 3 guys hit the portal. And I know in our last video we mentioned that same thing, and someone said it might be Gibson. I don't know. We'll have to see what happens at the end of the day with this upcoming fall, but it's gonna be some competition there. It's really just gonna be who's gonna stand out.
See, I'm with Bro on the whole Gibson thing. I think people need to pump the brakes. I think Jaden Gibson's still going to be pretty solid. It's one bad showing at a game that doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, and he had a great showing the year before, and really nothing came of it in that. And Andrew Anthony, he definitely could, emerge. I feel like it is an open competition. Who's going to be wide receiver number 3? There's a lot of moving parts behind him. And talking about Jordan Hudson, I think I saw that it seems like SMU has become the leader in his recruitment. I think he's also talking with Auburn, so it seems like the ship has pretty much sailed, which I'm not upset with. I think Brendan Thompson is great, and it's funny because Hudson was one of the guys that took the spot in the recruiting class that prevented Thompson from being a Sooner. So it's just kind of an interesting tidbit there.
World of college football.
He got his revenge. He took Jordan's spot, potentially. I think Oklahoma still preferred Brennan, but I can't imagine they were going to say no to Jordan Hudson if that became a real
possibility. Phil Pashadi making some plays out there too on Saturday. I'm just going back to the defense. So the defense looks – I can't wait to watch them play a real game, a game that matters where they're actually having to try, because I think they could be good.
Yeah. Jimmy Satterfield commented that Caden Durham has been fonged to LSU. I think that's an interesting topic to discuss, because it seemed it's interesting that Caden Durham got fonged to LSU today on Monday after visiting Oklahoma this past weekend, and it felt like Caden Durham, I think we did the mock 2024 class, and I think we included Caden Durham in that class.
There wasn't many
I
guys we
don't-
didn't include in that class. Though.
Well, yeah, we had like 17 5-stars, but anyway, I do think it's interesting that Caden Durham has been falling to LSU. Did something happen this weekend? Did DeMarco Murray identify he wants to go elsewhere, or did Caden Durham just show up on campus and realize that it wasn't for him? I'm not overly concerned with the running back room. I'm not sounding the alarm, but I just felt like that.
Well, it's a little bit concerning, no? You lose out on James Peoples. Now it looks like you might lose out on Caden Durham. Those are two guys that we felt strongly about at one point. So I'm not saying that, again, it's not like a panic, but I think it's a little bit concerning to be, at one point in the lead and lose both of them potentially.
Yeah, no, I mean, there is a little bit of level of concern. I guess it's just more of, I just, trust DeMarco Murray. And some people are commenting and saying that apparently Fong is not 100% sure, but, there is some degree that, if there's a little, some sort of hype around it or things like that, there might be some truth to it, but not saying that it's over by any means, because, we're still, 8 months away from early National Signing Day?
Yeah, plenty of time.
Taylor Tatum put out a top 7 today, included Oklahoma. Maybe if they're truly losing ground on Caden Durham, maybe they actually start pressing Taylor Tatum. It seems like that they have not been pressing Taylor Tatum to the same degree like a Caden Durham. Maybe something happened, or maybe Fong just isn't truly 100% sure. We are now at 100 people watching this. Everyone that's watching this, be sure to subscribe. We appreciate it.
Yeah, I agree. It's really just going to be, it feels like for the last 2-3 months, we've talked about how good we are doing at recruiting the running back, which we are. Clearly, we're in a position to get, to potentially be, upsetting kids because they don't have a spot, but they're not committing at the end of the day. And I know it's not a sound the alarm moment yet, but there is a limited amount of spots, and as soon as you can get one guy to commit, you might be able to force the hand of, someone else so that you can fill up that running back, those 2 or 3 running back spots you have for this specific class. Because at this point, it's wide open. That might be the reason they're taking their time, because there's no need to make their decision any faster at this point if they're going to pick Oklahoma.
You guys think we'll try to take 2 running backs in the class?
Yeah. 2 for sure. 3's a possibility.
Yeah, I definitely think 2 for sure in this class. It's a combination. Yeah, I know, Brandon, your favorite was James Peoples. Obviously, it seems like that ship has since sailed. But hopefully it's Caden Durham. Maybe they reel him back in. Taylor Tatum. Isn't it funny how Stacey Gage is not even on the radar? It seems like at this point. We all thought he was a lock, say, 6 months ago. And things change.
Yup. Let's think. Anything else you guys took away from the spring game that we haven't talked about? Or any questions or takes from everyone viewing?
Just want to talk about it.
I was going to say Kip Lewis was flying around, too.
He looked good.
Yeah, he looked good. I try not to put too much stock into it, because when one position group looks good, the other one doesn't look that good. But as a whole, the scoring system as a whole was a little goofy.
I didn't even pay attention to it, bro.
Yeah, I was sitting there watching, and it was like the defense was just racking up.
Well, and fans were scoring points for the teams. If they kicked the field goal or some shit, the both teams got 2 points. Or
if you're those students, what's more exciting? The year of Chick-fil-A or the 2 points he's just scored for the team?
That's not even a debate. But
definitely
the 2 points for sure, dude.
Yeah. Hell no.
Yeah. But yeah, some people are talking about Kip, but he is still underweight, and that is kind of where he's around 210, I think he is, but he's going to need to put on another 10, 15 pounds before he gets legitimate playing time. So it's things like that where he, I think he had 11 tackles. I just don't think that translates to this fall. Do I think it could happen in fall of 24? potentially. I mean, unless he goes on a huge bulking summer, which is possible.
Bulking season.
Bulking season in the summer, he might be able to, but he's definitely going to need to put on some weight.
Yeah, he's got to eat all the pancakes available in Norman. That
How
will
about
help
Jaren
him gain
Kanik? Did he look
weight.
okay?
I think they looked fine. It's tough to really like say, wow, this guy looked really good outside of Desan McCullough. He kind of took over. The defensive line looked good. Obviously, the offensive line did not look great, so it's tough to figure out if they've made big improvements or just a depleted offensive line was easy to bully.
No, I'm sure Coach B was not happy with the offensive line performance on Saturday.
Can't imagine that. Yeah, I think outside of that, to me, the biggest takeaways were Peyton Bowen gonna have to play this season, in real, probably in some big moments. Dylan Gabriel, the quarterback number 1, no question. Offensive line is hurt, and hopefully they're better by the time fall
How about
comes
Tommy
around.
Walker? Tommy Walker, I think, is a guy we're not talking about, but we should be a little bit. I think he had another really, really nice game. But he played well in last year's spring game, too. So I don't, maybe he's just a spring game wonder. But based on the running back performances, he was the best one on Saturday, I think.
Yeah, I think you can make an argument. Gavin did well, too. And
Yeah,
Javonte wasn't there. So it's tough to figure out who's going to get time.
But as a whole, had about 54,000 people show up. Not quite the same as last year, but still a solid showing. I think it was positive. Obviously, some commitments came out of it, and I feel like this is kind of a good transition point to talk about some commitments. Do we want to start with Isaiah Autry, or do we want to? I mean, we can just start there. I think we talk about him on was it Friday's episode potentially, about assuming that he's going to pick Oklahoma. But really, it seems like Oklahoma's 2024 class is just starting to heat up and starting to take off. So Isaiah Autry on Friday the 21st announced his commitment to Oklahoma, picked OU over Alabama, Florida State, Ole Miss, and others. And I think this is a big win. I think his offer list outweighs his rating according to 247. I think on Rivals he's a 4-star, 247 he's a 3-star. I think it's a huge get, and you're going into SEC country. Brandon, what do you think? I mean, the O-line was banged up, so we need young guys.
Yeah, no, I love it. I mean, the dude's a 6'6", 280-pound power lifter who's still a junior in high school. And I think he's working with the best offensive line coach in the country. There's really not a lot he can't do on the offensive line. I think it's a huge get for Oklahoma. I agree. I think he's severely underrated. Instead of looking at the stars, like you mentioned, look at the schools who offered him. If Alabama's knocking on your door, you're pretty darn good. Ole Miss is not a bad program. I mean, you know what I mean? The schools that want him should indicate that he's pretty darn good, not the 3 or 4-star rating, depending on where you look at. I think it's a huge get, and Coach B can do a lot with him.
All right, we got a question from Lloyd. Shout out for the $2. Thank you. Who commits first, Kearney or Wesco?
I believe that it's going to be Kearney. I think he is going to be the one that will commit probably within the next, I'm going to say, week or two.
Are you putting a shotgun on it?
Yeah. Or what? Wait, putting it like betting a shotgun on it? I'm not going to put a timeline. I know. I mean, at the end of the day,
God. Why do you hate fun?
At the end of the day, you know that high schoolers change. They can change every week with the Peyton Bowen saga. But I'm pretty confident it's going to be Zion Kearney first.
What happened with Peyton Bowen?
Well, just remember. You were at.
No, I'm kidding. I was there for all. Yeah.
You were off at the military. You were lucky for that.
No, I was there for that. That was a saga. That was wild.
Okay, Eric. I guess we got a bet. I guess we do have a bet. I will bet you on that. All right. So he's got Wesco. I've got Kearney committing first. We will we'll have that as a bet. Again,
There
Eric,
it
I
is.
appreciate it.
I like it, Eric. Good job. Good job.
So what do you guys think? Is it Wesco or Kearney?
I agree with you. It's Kearney, but now I hope it's Wesco. I think Wesco is the better player. I think they're both really, really good, but I would say, Bryant Wesco is a top 10 player in the class. There's a reason for that. So I hope Eric's right. I hope it is Wesco. Not only I think he's a little bit better of a football player, and you shotgunning is always fun.
Yeah, Oklahoma will end up with both, but I'll go with Brum here, and I'll join
Holy
into the bet as well. I think it's Kearney.
Guys, did you guys see him just message us on Twitter?
No.
Check it.
Not.
Take the bet. Oh, Zion just said take the bet, bro.
Ryan Kearney says take the bet.
Shout out Zion. Appreciate you for watching, bud.
That's pretty cool.
But yeah, the wide receiver room is going to be stacked. I feel like I'm pretty confident about the Zion pick now.
I'm all nervous.
He said take the bet. Yeah, you just badmouthed this guy.
Yeah, Brumbach clearly saying that Wesco's better. That's crazy. Zion Kearney has been better.
Whatever. I did not say that. No, they're both great players. I'm taking Kearney committing first. Either way, it doesn't matter who commits first. I hope they're both in this class because that will be an elite.
Also, we're still trying to get Zion Kearney on the show. That would be awesome. I know you're watching.
Zion, we'd
love to have you on.
We know you're watching. Yeah, come on. I'd love to hear your thoughts on Emmett Jones and everything else. Zion,
who's going to win the NBA championship this year?
Not the Heat.
The Heat.
All right. So Isaiah Autry. Someone asked how good is he really? Brandon kind of went pretty much where I was going to go. If Alabama wants you got to be pretty damn good, especially on the offensive line. They're not just going to offer someone that they don't think is going to be impactful at some point in his time there. So expectations are going to be pretty high for him, and I think he's going to deliver. Who knows how early on in his career, but it'll happen.
Also, boys, just warning: my computer's probably going to die in like 5 or so minutes. So if I just F off, that's what happened. And I'll watch the rest of the show from the YouTube channel. But this is fun. I wish I had remembered my charger. It's pretty unfortunate.
You could always just hop on.
It's not a professional.
Your cellular device.
I could, yeah, I'll do that. All right, yeah, I'll play with you guys on the phone.
All right, let's. We can give our thoughts on the Colorado portal in a little bit, but let's keep going with the commits. So Friday was Isaiah. Saturday, right? Was it Friday or Saturday? Was Jaden Hardy.
It was Saturday because it was like just an hour or two before the spring game started. Jaden Hardy announced his commitment, picked Oklahoma over a handful of other schools like in Alabama, Baylor, Arkansas, Arizona, Oregon, Penn State, Texas, and others. Could have gone wherever he wanted to go, but he picked Oklahoma. I think between just Oklahoma's only going to take two safeties. I think spots are limited. Jaden Hardy, it seemed like that Jay Valai and Brendan Hall were putting the full court press on him. And, we talked about like how is Ohio State getting all these kids to commit so early and so fast. And I think Oklahoma's starting to do that to some degree. And I think Jaden Hardy, they've been pressing him because he's been one of the guys that they have been wanting and targeting on the defensive side of the ball. And they ultimately secured his commitment. I think it's a huge get. What do you guys think?
Agreed. I think the speed in which it moved was pretty cool too, because if you remember correctly, he dropped to top 5 the day before, and then the next day he's committing to Oklahoma. So that was pretty cool. I think he brings a lot of talent to an already loaded safety room. I think the safety room, maybe the secondary in general, but the safety spot specifically is really, really deep.
Agreed. I'll be interested to see who else is added on to that room. It's going to be pretty stacked, and if it's that level of talent continuously from Brandon Hall and Jay Valai, it's going to be safe to say that in the near future, and maybe even next year, it's going to be tough to throw against the Sooners.
We're building something.
They're up to something. Definitely up to something. Brendan Thompson, we talked about him a little bit. Pretty impactful guy. super fast. We'll see how quickly he impacts the wide receiver room. Do you guys want to just give a quick take on the Colorado situation? I don't really know what the hell's happening.
Yeah, I don't know either. That's
90% of the people are gone, it feels like.
But to have 15 people transfer after your spring game, I think it's up to 15 now. And there was that one receiver. I've never heard of him, honestly. But when you look at what he did at the spring game, then to leave the next day, that's crazy. I don't know what's going on.
I think I don't know. I think it's a little bit of both. I think some players are leaving, and I think they're also processing some players out. I mean, if you remember Lincoln Riley, I know we don't love Lincoln Riley, but he got rid of a lot of players at USC, and so I forget the rules, but coaches have some sort of ability to clear out a roster to some degree. So I kind of think that's part of what Deion Sanders is doing. I don't think it's all the kids are just running away from them. I don't really buy that all those players would be running from Deion Sanders, but I think it's maybe some mutual decisions or encouraging. I mean, we did it to some degree as well. Some players got processed out with Coach Venables and his staff. So anyway, we can get back on the Oklahoma stuff.
So defensive line, had a couple people bring that up in the chat. Clearly a position of need for Oklahoma in the long term. I think the edge is kind of really starting to come together. Interiors where it seems like there's a lot of question marks. Saw one person ask, who do you think is going to be the first defensive lineman to commit? We've had multiple people ask, who do we think is going to be committing for the defensive line group? So who wants to take this one on first? Brum? Bonnet?
Who could commit first?
Yeah, you can start there and then do like 3 or 4 guys you think are going to be part of this class.
Committing first, that's a tough one, obviously. I think that Oklahoma's in the running for elite players, and so naturally you don't see many of the elite players hop on board early. I think Brandon might have been lost at this point. He's gone. His computer must have croaked. Anyway, so the first one I think would be the most reasonable expectation is I think Ajone will be the first one to commit. But as far as who's a part of this class, I think Ajone's a part of it. I think Nigel Smith's a part of it. I think David Stone's a part of it. And Xavier Sims. I think those 4 guys are a part of it. And I think Williams-Nwaneri is part of it as well, but, as more of a kind of an edge player. I think that they reel in that many players, 5 elite players along the defensive line, edge. I'm going to go on a limb. I think it's Ajone is first, but I think Nigel Smith, David Stone, Ajone, Xavier Sims. I think Xavier Sims is one that we're kind of forgetting about, and I think Oklahoma's in a really good spot.
I think Sims was just at Oregon, and Stone's going to be in Oregon this weekend. Oregon, it's tough to recruit against.
But Mama wasn't at Oregon with Sims.
That is an important thing to know. So
typically they went out. And
that's true.
That's just my gut there.
I did get to exchange some messages with Ajone yesterday and a little bit today, and he expects to have a decision of where he's committing before his senior season, early April. He liked his visit.
You mean August? August?
August. Sorry, my bad. He liked his visit. It's tough to not like a visit when you have a Heisman ceremony, 50+ thousand fans cheering for a game that, as we always said, doesn't really matter. And then when you have 2 or 3 guys there that you could potentially team up with, I'm sure that's going to be fun every time, especially with one of the better defensive line coaches in the country trying to get you there.
What'd I miss?
Who's going to be the first defensive lineman to commit? And
John Ye.
All right, I think we're all in the same boat there. Who do you think is going to be part of the class? Just yourself,
David
without us.
Stone, John Ye, Williams Noweri. I don't know. I'd like to say Nigel Smith, but I don't know how I feel about that.
Nigel Smith. All right. I'm with it. It's got to be at least 4. You have to take at least 4 defensive linemen in this class. Last year, would we get 2? 3?
Derek LeBlanc.
PJ.
I know we got one at the end there. Marcus Deal, right?
Yeah. Or no,
Marcus Strong.
Marcus Strong.
Yeah. So, got to take more than that this year to just continue with depth because it is, wouldn't call it the deepest position on the team by any means at this point. Let's see. We won't go too much longer. Let's see. Any questions you guys have? I mean, someone mentioned Kobe Black.
Yeah, let's just have some people fire off some questions.
Is that who Jay last tweet was about? Kobe Black?
No, I think it was about Brendan Thompson.
But
it could be.
Would have been cool.
Would have been cool.
The Kobe Black recruitment is interesting to me because I don't think we've talked about it before. But I don't think anybody's in the lead there. I think it's a wide open race between maybe the whole top 12 that he put out. Like it seems like nobody seems to be pulling away in that recruitment.
Yeah, I think Oklahoma is one of his top 5 schools. I think Oklahoma is there. I just think at the end of the day, my gut's telling me I don't think Kobe Black is a part of this class. That is just, I think it would be a haul. I mean, it would be quite a haul to get him. I just don't know if Oklahoma will have the sway and be able to get him to be a part of this class. That's just my gut.
Let's see. I agree with all that. Matt asked, did RSJ play Jaden Rowe and Gentry? I'm pretty sure Gentry is still not playing football. Recovering from the incident before spring break.
Jaden Rowe didn't play either. He texted my younger brother about why he did. I think he's still dealing with some sort of injury issue or something. He wasn't fully cleared, if you will, to play in that game. I don't think they wanted him out there.
And I think it's the same thing with Robert Spears Jennings. I think they've all just they're all recovering from some sort of ailment. Hopefully they're on the field. I think Gentry seemed like before the incident pre-spring break, he seemed to be leading for that cornerback 2 spot opposite of Woody. But he's got to get back on the field. Obviously it's an unfortunate thing, but in sports, it's always the next man up, and they're going to help you recover. But someone's going to take your playing time if you're not available. Peyton Pierce flipped to OU. I'd like to think it's possible, but who knows?
I think Brum predicted that as part of our 2024 class projection. Or was
I think
that was me.
That was Jose. Yeah, I'd like to think so, but I think typically Ohio State with linebackers, more times than not, and Deshaun McCullough is an exception because he was once committed to the Buckeyes. They typically don't lose their commitments, and James Laurinaitis is Peyton Pierce is a huge fan of him, and I just don't know if the Buckeyes relinquish.
That's a tough loss, though. Like we talked about last time, that one hurts a little bit, just because how he grew up and how his family is. He's Sooner born, Sooner bred, and then he just doesn't end up here. That one hurts.
Fucking Laurinaitis, bud.
It definitely hurts.
Pretty good recruiter. Any positions that we go after here? Well, we'll make this the last question for the stream.
Kicker.
Since we've been on, someone's been saying, I've seen some comments that we've landed a transfer for a tight end. Am I reading
Maybe
something
I missed it.
wrong?
If someone wants to
to
inform us, because I did not see a tight end transfer, but yeah, also haven't been on Twitter as much today as I usually am.
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure, but maybe someone can comment on this. But as far as other positions in the portal, if they didn't get a tight end already, I think a tight end could be a spot. But I don't know. I mean, they might not, considering that. Oh gosh, who's the guy that's going to reclassify?
Devon Mitchell.
Devon Mitchell could be a part of this class. I know that
Yeah.
they'll go after one in the 2025 class.
Also,
they
boys, I
might-
don't know if you're watching. The Heat have cut this to 3 with 4 minutes to go.
Yeah, not too bad. Not too bad. So, but yeah. All right.
In fact, the Heat
all right.
just tied it.
Well, let's go Bucks. Fear the deer.
That's you're a hater.
I would like the Deer to lose, so the Celtics.
Holy
can have
shit! The
home
Heat just
court.
took the lead.
Yeah.
Some people believe
What?
we need a punter and a kicker. So I guess we'll see. It was windy on. It wasn't the weather not great on Saturday, so
Yeah.
tough.
Yeah.
Tough day for the boys there.
Tough.
I think-
Tough to lose Turk. The guy
Yeah,
filling
that guy
in the
played
shoes.
at OU forever.
That would be nice.
That would be cool.
Mayfield, can he come back too?
Yeah. Yeah. So, any last second questions? Otherwise, I think this was pretty good. And now that we're kind of into spring and we're going into the summer, we will probably start doing these a little more often. I enjoy.
Yeah,
And eventually, Brum will pay up on his shotgun bets because you're at one, bud.
you're
You
at
thought
one.
Davis Bevel was gonna.
And I think
win
Zion
3
Turner's
games at
gonna
Georgia.
go too.
Yeah. Yeah. Michigan State tight end, Nicholas Durant. So something about a Michigan State tight end. I'm not 100% sure.
Well, that gives us something to talk about on Wednesday. We can do our research.
Yeah.
All right, boys.
Have a good night. Go
Appreciate
Heat.
everyone for watching. We will see you guys on Wednesday.
Especially thank you, Eric.
Yeah, shout out Eric.
Good work. Appreciate it.